what are the key components of PARAS? Well, to deliver PARAS effectively, some key components need to be included, and a full description of these components is presented within the PARAS resources. So what actually is PARAS? So it's an evidence and theory-informed, co-designed supported self-management programme that enables stroke survivors to move more and sit less. Specific behaviour change techniques that have been shown to improve physical activity have been embedded within the PARAS programme, and feasibility and real-world testing has enabled us to create simple resources to aid delivery of these techniques. So what materials are included in PARAS? The delivery of PARAS is supported by a workbook, and the workbook can be printed out and written or typed in depending on stroke survivor preference. The digital version provides the option for the professional to attach a copy of the workbook to the patient's notes, and the workbook is a tool to aid discussion, not to take over from it. And we've deconstructed the parts of the workbook so you can pick and choose relevant parts for the individual in your service. For example, stroke survivors with speech and language problems, you might want to choose to only use pages of the workbook with icons. Who is PARAS for? So PARAS is for adult stroke survivors who've agreed with a healthcare professional that there is potential for them to sit less and move more. The stroke survivor should be physically and cognitively able to safely self-manage physical activity or do this with a carer, and should have no contraindications for undertaking physical activity, including being told by their GP or consultant that they should not take part in physical activity. Who supports delivery? A professional who is a credible source, so someone that's well informed on stroke and plays a key role in the stroke survivor's rehab supports delivery. So for example, a physiotherapist, an occupational therapist, technical instructor, rehab worker, charity worker, fitness instructor. So PARAS was originally designed to be delivered individually, but in response to requests from professionals, we've added the option for group delivery. So the first step is to invite someone to take part in PARAS, and then the first step in the workbook is the preparation stage, where we explore individual needs and preferences, the measurement of physical activity, function and well-being. There's consideration of physical activity benefits and meaningful outcomes of being active. And then in part 2, we look at goal setting and action planning. So a physical activity is selected and there's goal setting around this. So action planning includes identifying someone who will support the individual and how the individual is going to measure their activity. And then there's barrier identification and creation of if-then plans. The final part is the review, which again is undertaken by a healthcare professional, and reflection and progression for the future. When PARAS is delivered varies on the needs and wishes of the patient and the healthcare professional's opinion on the best timing and availability of resources. But all 3 parts must be completed, but the number of sessions required by the stroke survivor depends on individual needs. Some might be able to take part in part 1 independently and only need a single session for part 2 and 3. Others might need more support. If there's a need for new goals or thinking about maintaining. There's no upper limit to sessions, and it needs to be tailored to the individual. So the key components of PARAS should be delivered to enable effectiveness, but how this is undertaken can be tailored to individual need and service delivery. There's a separate workbook for delivering PARAS on the ward and at home and in the community, and as I say, we've deconstructed parts of the workbook to use as required. So how do you know if you're doing PARAS well? Well, to ensure it's delivered effectively, professionals should have completed training on PARAS delivery, either using the website or having someone who is skilled in PARAS delivery delivering the training. The skills of the person delivering PARAS should be enhanced by reflection and peer support within the team that they're working.